And we are back with the third segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this third segment, I'm just going to be talking about, the rumors of DeMar DeRozan possibly joining the Los Angeles Lakers and what that could entail, what the lineup is, what I think is going to happen, and how I think that playstyle and his playstyle is going to translate with the Los Angeles Lakers. So, as mentioned before in the previous segment that I did, yesterday, LeBron has been in the conversation, and there's been talks that LeBron is going to take a pay cut for the Lakers so they could sign more talent, and by more talent, I mean they could sign one other player to their roster, one other star player, I should add. And the reality is that I don't really like this move. Like, I really don't like the fact that they just want to sign one player. But, worth the shot. And with LeBron taking a pay cut and willing to take a pay cut, I mean, you might as well go for it and try to abide by what LeBron wants. I totally understand where the Lakers are coming from with that. However, it really is unfortunate that the Lakers have missed in every single free agent opportunity that they've gotten so far. They are horrible in free agency. They do not have a good track record in free agency at all. And really, what really stings is that I've been told, I've seen reports that the Warriors were the ones that declined Klay Thompson going to the Lakers. Like, the Lakers, they gave him an offer, and they actually were willing to give him more money than Dallas was intending to give him. But the Warriors, they wanted picks in the sign and trade, but they didn't get picks, and therefore they decided to send him to Dallas. I think that is a whole bunch of malarkey. The reason why they didn't send him to the Lakers was because they didn't want Klay Thompson to be with LeBron James. Plain and simple. That organization does not like LeBron James. That organization does not want to help LeBron James. And honestly, nobody in the NBA wants to help LeBron James because he is LeBron James. Easily the most hated player in the NBA, and easily one of the most hated players in NBA history for absolutely no reason. And I'm going on another LeBron rant. Let's talk about DeMar. So, with LeBron possibly taking a pay cut, there have also been reports that, if the Lakers don't land every free agent target that they get, then LeBron is just going to sign the max, because it makes total sense. But here is a report coming in from Bleacher Report, ironically enough. And hold on just one second, because I'm trying to pull up the article right now as we speak. So, as free agency, as we know, it's been rather quiet for the Lakers. James has indicated a willingness to take less than the max if it helps the team add a significant player. DeMar DeRozan reportedly meets that criteria, per Athletic's Jovan Buha. It's possible DeMar is the less one left. Two, as Buha noted, James' original list included Klay Thompson, James Harden, and Jonas Valanciunas, all of whom have agreed to deals elsewhere. Literally every single one of them has agreed to a deal elsewhere. Now, James Harden, I don't really like James. I wouldn't have liked James Harden on the Lakers, and quite frankly, I don't think he would have brought anything positive to them, especially in the postseason where he declines every single time. Every single year, Klay Thompson declines in the not Klay Thompson. James Harden declines in the postseason, and quite frankly, I think that would have hurt the Lakers way more than any other free agent signing that they could have had. Yay, the sun's gone for now. Now, they also missed on Klay Thompson, which was a very big miss. And Jonas Valanciunas, this is like the first time that I've heard that the Lakers are actually interested in that guy. But now, since he signed the deal with the Washington Wizards, unfortunate. Now, DeMar would be a good get, according to Bleacher Report, especially since he is from Los Angeles, and since he's gettable for a non-taxpayer mid-level exception. He wouldn't fill this club's biggest needs, though, or provide the kind of on-court boost that would transform this play-in team into a title contender. And honestly, I agree with this Bleacher Report take 100%. For years, James has lamented the Lakers' lack of three-point lasers, And honestly, DeMar DeRozan is not a three-point shooter. Like, he's really not a good three-point shooter. And he leans in, according to the article, and, according to me, honestly, he leans inside the arc as much as any modern wing scorer. And that's partly because his mid-range game is just, it's fantastic. Like, he has a great mid-range. It declines in the postseason, however. And it's also because the 34-year-old never developed an outside shot. He only took .9 threes on average last season, and it was actually the second most of his entire career with the three-point attempts. He shot a forgettable 33%, but I mean, again, .9 threes, like literally just barely attempting 1 3 a game, that's not going to help the Lakers at all. So while the Lakers could theoretically use his scoring, like, he is a phenomenal scorer, and while he isn't the best three-point shooter, he is a very good shooter, period, because, mid-range shooting still counts as shooting. He's a very consistent shooter from the mid-range especially, but it's like, I don't agree with that kind of shot. Like, here's my problem with the mid-range. So, it's very good in the regular season, right? But then in the postseason, it almost always, everyone's mid-range shooting in the postseason almost always declines. And the reason being, because in the regular season, that's the shot that you're so used to getting. But in the postseason, you have the pressure. You have the defense adjusting to you. You have all of these sort of things, and you're only fighting for 2 points when you're taking that kind of jump shot. So it's very inefficient, combined with the fact that everyone else in the league, especially DeMar, his 2-point shooting percentage drops like tremendously in the postseason. It's just inefficient to me. Like, you can't really take those kinds of shots and lose that kind of efficiency in the postseason, because you're not going to be helping your team at all. Like, I'm not a big fan of mid-range shooting in the postseason unless you're going to make that shot. Don't shoot the mid-ranges. It's like, it's a very, very inefficient shot to take in basketball, and in the postseason particularly, because I have flashbacks of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving missing every single mid-range, but they hit those in the regular season just fine, but they didn't hit those in the postseason, and it was very difficult to watch, and they were only fighting for 2 points. So I'm not a big fan of that. That's just me. Not to mention, now I'm only talking about the offensive side. DeMar DeRozan on the defensive side is quite frankly a liability. Despite the fact that he is 6'6", 6'7", and he is relatively tall, he's not a very good defender. And the offense ranked just 15th in efficiency in the past season, the Lakers I'm talking about, and their defense was actually worse, being 17th overall. While there's a decent chance that DeRozan would help perk up that offensive ranking, there's just as good of a chance that he would drop the defensive rating as well, because he's just not that good of a defender. Now, LA could use stingy point of attack defenders, athletic wing stoppers, and off-ball defensive playmakers, and DeRozan checks exactly none of those boxes, according to this article. DeMar DeRozan could still be worth adding, but only if there are moves to follow. And quite frankly, he isn't even the best guard on the Bulls, in my opinion. I would much rather the Lakers try and get somebody like Zach LaVine, because while Zach LaVine is not a much better defender than DeMar, at least he has a solid 3-point shot. And pardon me with that. But he does have Zach LaVine has a much better 3-point shot than DeMar, and he also has a solid mid-range. He has solid dunks, and he's overall like a solid player. And I feel like his role on the Lakers would feel a lot more natural, and it would be much better than getting DeMar. In my personal opinion, if the Lakers are going to try to get anyone, it's going to be Zach LaVine. However, I will say, the Bulls, they've been trying to trade Zach LaVine since the beginning of this free agency. They've done it. They've given 15 different teams several different trade options, and every single one of them doesn't want Zach LaVine. So maybe there's something about Zach LaVine that I'm just not seeing. Maybe it's because of the injuries, or maybe that's the reason, but not many teams are interested in acquiring Zach LaVine, which is very unfortunate, because I really think that Zach would be a very, very good option for the Lakers and would be a very, very good player for the Lakers, and I think he'd mesh very well. Now, I also got somebody once, he told me that, the fly is getting in the way. Somebody told me that he views getting DeMar to LA similar to getting Russell Westbrook in LA, how Russ just wasn't a good fit for the Lakers. And while I do understand DeMar not being a relatively good fit, I do think that it is a better fit than grabbing Russ. We're going to go on a little bit of a Russ rant. Russ was a bad fit. Yes, he was a bad fit for the Lakers. However, he played horribly for them. And he doesn't get nearly enough backlash for playing that bad. Now, at least. And it's like, people will forget about that, his performance in LA, because everyone just likes Russ and everyone likes his play style and things of that nature. I'm not a fan of Russ. I think he never learns from his past mistakes, especially in late games where he just cannot help but take a terrible shot at the end. And his efficiency is bad. His turnovers are bad. And just because he can rebound the ball better than any guard doesn't make him the best guard to ever grace the floor like everyone seems to make him out to be. I'm sorry to say it, but I'm just not a big Russ fan. I really don't like him. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. I like him as a person, right? He is a great person, but his play style and, how he plays, things like that, I'm not a big fan of it. And I think it ends up hurting the team more than it does actually helping the team, because you have no idea what kind of performance from Russ you're going to get. You might get a very good triple-double from him, but you also might get 11 turnovers from him in that very same game. You might get an awful shooting performance from him tonight, but he might get a triple-double. So it's like there's a good and then there's bad. And in my opinion, there's just way more bad that he could bring than good, especially now. I mean, when he was on Los Angeles, he was missing layups. Like, get out of here with the fact that Russ is all right, Russ is good. No. Russ is only good when he has the ball in his hands 24/7. Literally, his MVP season was when he had the highest usage rate ever recorded by any player imaginable. And no, not a big fan of him whatsoever. But that's all I got to say. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in the fifth segment. So, just stay tuned for that if you want to hear a little bit more of Russell Westbrook. That is a little bit of a spoiler. That is going to be, the fifth segment is going to be something about Russell Westbrook. But thank God the sun is gone. So in the fourth segment, since this is basically the end of the third segment, I'm going to talk about some more Cavs drama. Well, not really Cavs drama, I guess you could say, but Donovan Mitchell has agreed to a contract with the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about that right after the short break. So be sure to stay tuned.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.